Hello, today I've come outside to talk about the largest artwork in the Sioux City Art Center Permanent Collection, Touched by the Sun by Michael Dunbar. This was a special artwork. It was commissioned for this space, for our front lawn, back in 2013. And while it attracted a lot of attention when it first got installed, it also attracted a lot of confusion because it's hard to tell what's going on, what's special about it. And one of the reasons is that, as you might be able to hear in the background, this is a very heavily driven street. Most of the people who are passing by the sculpture are doing so in their vehicles. And when you do that, it's kind of hard to get a sense of what's going on in the sculpture. If you were to come out of your car and come down to the Art Center, walk around the piece, you'll get a better appreciation of just what went into the construction and the design of the sculpture. Because one of the things that Michael prides himself on is precision. His inspiration comes from everything from like old scientific tools, nautical things like sextants and those other great brass objects that were on old ships and in lighthouses, and things as delicate as watches. He wants, no matter how big his sculptures become, he wants those sculptures to have the precision of a finely made watch. And you can see that precision even more closely once you're allowed back in the Art Center and you get to see what he calls his machinist study. All artworks, large artworks, begin with sketches or models. And when it comes to Michael, he goes way overboard and makes a 2-scale, perfectly precise bronze model. And this is about this big, as opposed to 14 feet tall. And when you see that sculpture inside the Art Center, you can see it is constructed to an amazing amount of exactness. Every connection, every joint, every little piece, every component works perfectly. One of the reasons why we picked this sculpture in particular, beyond the fact that Michael's such a great sculptor, is that he was able to come up with something that reflects the site. While it is a vertical piece, when you go all the way around it, you'll see that there's a very strong amount of rotation involved. There are circular elements, and he liked this, and we certainly did too, the fact that it connects very much with the atrium behind it. Our 50-foot glass atrium is a really interesting and imposing backdrop, and he was able to find something that worked well with that, using lines rather than sheets of glass. The other thing that's really interesting as you walk around it is he's taken this very precise sculpture and activated it. It's not just something that was placed on this large concrete podium. It's set at an angle. It sits on 3 points and is balanced just right so that it holds its position. Of course, it's also held by really large bolts. But when you go all the way around it and you see the angle that he has put on this, it feels like something that should be in motion. And these are the things that have always inspired him. These scientific instruments and watches and nautical instruments are things that are intended to serve as machines. And while his sculpture is not kinetic in itself, he wants you to feel that there is. I should also mention that the title, Touched by the Sun, as a lot of Michael's sculptures do, the title comes from a song. And in this case, it was a song composed by Carly Simon, who's one of his favorite singers. And that title and the song itself is all about going the extra mile, experimenting, exploring. Touched by the sun, meaning those people who went way beyond just following the tried and true path and found new awesomeness, new greatness by going where no one else had gone before. And it's that type of inspiration that guides Michael as he makes his sculptures. So we're really pleased to have been able to have this now in Sioux City for almost 7 years. What's also interesting when you get a chance to come back into the Art Center is the comparison between this sculpture, which is bronze, but what has happened to it as a result of being outdoors, versus what you'll see inside with his machinist study, which has been maintained in a very controlled environment, sitting on a pedestal inside with a vitrine on top. It is still beautifully shiny and perfectly bronze. So you get to explore the difference in scale, the difference in the texture and color, and get to experience the single sculpture in two very different ways. So again, we're looking forward to opening up our doors at some point in the future, but at least wanted to give you a glimpse and a talk about something that you can see right now.